Hello and welcome to the Blessings in the Streets podcast. I am your host, Joseph B. Roberts, and in studio with me today, I have two phenomenal ladies in building with me. These two ladies are women of God. These two ladies have a heart for young people, and they just have a multitude of gifts and talents that God is just using them in a magnificent and mighty way, just putting their mark on the world and changing lives and just doing things decently and in order. Just phenomenal ladies, and I'm pleased and honored that they've taken time out of their respective busy schedules to be with me this evening and to be with us to just share a little bit about their journey, a little bit about their story in hopes of inspiring and encouraging others. So without any further delay, I would like to introduce to you Miss Lontage Woods and Miss Latricia Murray. Thank you, ladies, for being here with me today. It's such a
Oh,
pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So before we jump off into the thick of things, I do want to, of course, give each of you an opportunity to share a little bit about yourselves. Tell us a little bit about what you do, where you're from, just a little intro. Give everybody a little taste of who you are. So I'll start off with you, Lontage. Give them a taste of who is Lontage Woods.
Yes. Well, hello, everyone out there. My name is Latricia Woods, and I am a proud Louisiana native. I've been here in the Dallas Fort Worth area for 3 years. I am a 23-year veteran educator, as well as a business owner of New Focus Family and Youth Consultant, a business that seeks to empower youth and families.
That is awesome. Awesome work. Awesome work. And Latricia Murray, please give everybody a little taste of who you are.
Hi, my name is Latricia Murray, and I am born and raised in Dallas, Texas. I am a retired veteran. I work at Collin College, also in the education field. I'm very passionate about service and serving others. And I am also a poet, a spoken word artist, and I also am a proud business owner of Anointed Hearts and Hands Catering, which is more of a ministry than a business, but still very proud about it.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's great work that you do. Of course, I have been blessed with the opportunity to have a few samples of that cooking, and yeah, it is a ministry. It is a blessing to my belly. Probably too much of a blessing because I tend to eat a little too much when I've had a chance to partake in some of that. So, good stuff on both of your ends as to what you're doing. But again, this is just a little taste for everybody. But we're getting ready to dig a little bit deeper. So, I'm gonna jump back to you, Lantaj, if you would. When we're talking about anything in regards to our journeys and our experiences in life, you can't really tell the story without starting from the beginning. And that's exactly where I want to start with you. So I know you said you were a Louisiana native. So I'd like you to think back to your childhood and kind of tell us a little bit more in detail. What was it like for you growing up in Louisiana? Fond memories that perhaps jumped into mind, as well as if there was any specific challenges that maybe you had to deal with in your upbringing. Please share what that experience was like for those of us who may not be familiar with life in Louisiana.
Okay. Well, yes, I grew up in a very small farm town in central Louisiana called Cottonport, and I was raised by my grandparents as well as a village. My mom had me; she was a teen mom, so I had my aunts and uncles who were just a couple years older than me. So I grew up in the home till I was about maybe 11 with say six other people and my grandparents. So it was always a lot of people around, a lot of family love, and like I said, it was a small town, so everyone knew everybody. Just family members, people that had grown up generations there, and I think a lot of who I am today came from that background. It is the country, so getting adjusted to being here in a big city like Dallas is an adjustment, but it gave me some really great roots as far as integrity and just being able to just be in awe of things that I didn't see growing up.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. And I love, I'm always drawn to when people, talk about that upbringing, when they speak about just the whole family dynamic. Even if it was in a single parent household. I mean, I'm a product of a single parent household myself, but grandmother was there, and, you have the neighborhood and you have that community, something that we unfortunately are lacking, in these days and times. But, being from a time from all of us, of what that life was like. People just don't know. The kids today don't know what they're missing in regards to that. And as you said, it does contribute tremendously to your integrity, to your character, to just making you be the person that you are. I mean, even I was talking about this with some guests on another show, where you were even talking about even back in the day, the person who was struggling. You know, the it could be the bum on the street, it could be the drunk in the town or whatever. Even they, despite their personal conditions, would even pour into you about, hey, you need to stay in school, or hey, you need to do this or do that to be right. You know, you need to be praying, you need to be, you know, all of that kind of stuff would happen. So everybody was in the mix, regardless of financial status or titles or anything like that. So that's good stuff. That's good stuff. Same question for you, Latricia. Take us back. I know you're born and raised in Dallas. Kind of walk us through, what was it like for you growing up? Fond memories, challenges, anything of the like that you'd like to share.
Um, Growing up, I have two. I have a brother and a sister that are twins. And my mom was a single mom. Growing up, she had a real hard life growing up. So, because she had it so hard. Like, she had, issues with the stepfather and all of that good stuff. So that made her a very protective mom. She wasn't like so much strict, but she was very protective over my sister and I, and also my brother, to make sure that nobody messed with us. We grew up in Wilma Hutchins. Well, we kind of grew up all over the place. We lived in Wichita Falls, then we moved to back to Dallas, and we grew up in Oak Cliff, the Wilma Hutchins area. We lived in her mom's house, and my dad's mom lived up the street from each other. So we had both of our grandmamas in the same vicinity. So we were constantly running up and down the street, going to go visit one or the other. And like Lontage said, it was a community. Everybody on the street knew us. In the circle, it was a circle. We knew everybody in the circle, and everybody in the circle knew us. So if we did anything, they was calling or going over, or not even calling or going over. You got talked to by every house neighbor in the house. And then they reached my grandmama, and then my grandmama, she would get on to us, and then here come my mama. So we also grew up in that community aspect. And my mom, she was like a really, really hard worker. Like, she was a chef. Her and my dad were cooks or chefs. And so she worked in Prestonwood. She worked in Plano. We lived in Oak Cliff, so she often would take the bus from Oak Cliff to Plano so that she can go to work every day. But then at one time she left my uncles in charge of us while she went and lived with a friend near the job. Just because it was just with her just trying to start out, she didn't have enough to kind of take us. She wasn't situated yet. But she threatened my uncles within an inch of their lives and said, "Hey, if my kids, someone come up with my kids, it's gonna be a problem." But my uncles, they were great, great uncles. One uncle was really taught us my sister and I, how to be ladies, taught my brother how to be a young man, taught us how to properly clean, how to properly cook. One uncle, he was the fun uncle, so we had fun with him. But my other uncle, but both of them would walk us to the bus stop. Both of them, they just taught us so much. And though in those formative years that we didn't have our mom, like, my uncles were there. And like, when my sister and I remember one time sitting outside, and it was hot outside, it's the summertime, and we got on a dress, and I'm sitting like a little boy on the stoop. And my uncle come by, and he passed by, he says, "Trisha, close your legs before I throw cold water on you." And I was like, "Okay." And he said, "Young ladies do not sit like that. Young ladies sit with their legs closed." And so it was those types of things, teaching something simple as teaching us how to sweep, or teaching us how to wash dishes properly. Those were very important formative things that we learned in our formative years that really stuck with me, even to this day. Having both of my grandmamas present was also good, because when my mom wasn't there, we had my uncles, we had my aunties, and my grandmamas there to kind of also fill in that gap as well, to really show us what being a girl was about and all of those types of things. So, and growing up, I was very shy as a kid, very, very shy. I didn't talk much. I kind of was very timid. Like if you looked at me wrong or if I felt like you disapproved or something, I would just go in a corner and cry, you know. Um, but and growing up, you know, I didn't really speak a lot, and I didn't like confrontation, or I didn't like conflict. So I would just, whatever would help me not to have to face anything, I would, you know, I would do. I was just, or stay in the background so I didn't have to be seen too much. um so that's kind of how. And then also too, it was a whole self esteem thing as I grew up. But yeah, being little, you know, there were so many things, you know, I like to eat. I wasn't like overly fat, but my grandmama used to call me like, you little fat little girl. And my papa used to have to stick up for me and say, hey, leave her alone. And he would take me to the library, and from there, and he introduced the library to me and introduced books to me, and I just fell in love with that. And that's how I started writing poetry. I started writing from that, which, you know, my grandpa, whatever I wrote, he was just like, oh my gosh, that girl is so intelligent. So that's kind of how I started on the journey to express myself through, I would escape through books, but express myself through poetry. So all the things that I was going through, as far as, you know, with my grandmama and being shy and staying away from confrontation, anything, and not speaking up, I would just write it down and form a poem or something out of it just to get it out my mind. So yeah, that kind of shaped me a little bit. And then as the years went on, I became this.
Well, that is very inspiring. I appreciate your transparency in sharing that, and it's just interesting. That's why I like to talk about these beginning moments, because again, both of you talked about that community, that village, and it does make a difference. And you don't understand it at the time, what you're going through, why you're going through it. You know, what's the point of it all? But it begins to formulate and transform you into the beings and the persons that God intended for you to be. I mean, and again, just with what I do know about the both of you, you know, I can already see that how much that beginning impacts, you know, what you are craving to do, what you're passionate about doing, and the energy and the efforts that you put forth in it. It's there. I mean, it's interesting just hearing you, Latricia, talk about, you know, I was shy and timid and quiet. And I'm like, I don't know that person
So
today. You know, but again, and people do the same thing with me. You know, I talk about how being quiet, being, you know, very low key, you know, even at some point being scared to talk in front of people or worrying about that kind of thing. Are people looking at me crazy or funny or what have you? And then, so people, whenever they hear me talk about that, they're like, you know, they can't imagine, you know, associating those words with us, but it's a part of that growth process.
mhm.
It's what we have to all go through. And so, very, very powerful story from the both of you and sharing a little bit about what it was like growing up for you. But we're going to go a little bit deeper. So, as we travel through our journeys of life, of course, you know, there's going to be a number of different experiences, some good, some, you know, a little bit more difficult to deal with. And so, what I would like to delve into with the both of you is, and I'm going to jump back to you, Lontage, is tell us about a time when you found yourself facing adversity and this was a little bit different. You know, you may be somebody who's been always really good at working your way through some stuff, but we, like all of us, we're going to run into some things every now and then that weight is a little bit heavier. That burden is a little bit, you know, more difficult to lift, or to, you know, persevere through, to the point to where we start to doubt, you know, how am I going to get through this? You know, how am I going to overcome this? You know, we may, you know, feel a sense of defeatedness or anything of that nature. So if you would, Lantaj, tell us about a time where you were faced with such a type of situation, where you didn't know how you were going to get through it, but clearly you're here today to share. So we know you made it, and you
Yes.
don't look like what you've been through. So we know you made it. So if you would kind of walk us through what that situation was like for you.
Okay. Well, I would have to say it was probably right before COVID happened. So towards the end of 19. 2019. Had a medical situation I had been dealing with for some years. And one of the things that I love about God is that He's very strategic in how things happen. So it was some things that had been building up. And, you can give it to God, but then things still happen. And prior to this, had some things going on in my personal life with a person I had been in a relationship with for several years. Amazing person, but, you know, things don't always work out the way that they're supposed to. So we're ending towards the end of 19, and everybody was talking about 2020 vision. That was the big thing going into that year. And I felt a shift in my life. Didn't know what it was. I just was very, prior to that, was just kind of going through the motions with some things, doing a lot of traveling. I was very heavily involved in youth ministry nationwide. So I was always traveling. My summers were busy, school year busy, just kind of going, calendar full. And March 13th, COVID hit. My home state of Louisiana at the time shut down, and relationship had ended. And I was there by myself, and God used that as, I would like to call, a Jacob moment, where I wrestled with Him with some stuff. And it was probably one of the most difficult times in my life because, like I said, COVID was there. You're isolated. Everything that I wasn't trying to deal with before, I had to deal with because you just have all that alone time. And like I said, it just shows how intentional God is. And it led me to where I'm at today. It led me, at the time I was finishing up my third degree, my specialist degree. Had an opportunity to go and work on my doctorate and be an adjunct professor at my college, Arkansas State in Jonesboro, Arkansas. I knew I was moving, but Texas was nowhere on the radar. And God just began to speak to me. And it wasn't something, again, that I knew was orchestrated by self, because I'm a person of structure. I'm a person of habit. Sometimes I stay in certain things too long. And I think that was the combination, again, of God just being intentional of, I'm going to force your hand, and that was a life-changing transition for me that led me to start my business, that led me to start loving on myself and really seeking my purpose outside of anything or anyone else. And that's what I seek to do with my business. That's what I seek to do just on a personal level when I meet people, to encourage people to truly, truly cast everything else aside and look at who you are. And I know that God allowed me to go through that because it was meant for me to be able to share that with other people, but also know that when other things are going to come, which they have, that He's intentional as to why He's doing it and the result that He wants from it. And we know that all things work together. We don't know how. We don't like it. It doesn't feel good. But that was a pivotal moment in my life that led me to Arlington, Texas, the dream city. And just to be where I'm at now and to just have this, it's a peace that I have. Even when things are still not the way that I want them to be, I have a peace that I didn't have before because of that experience that I went through in 2019 going into 2020.
Wow. Again, a very powerful testimony. First and foremost, appreciate your transparency in sharing that. And, a few takeaways from what you said. God, like as you stated, has a way of, I like to oftentimes refer to it, he kind of puts us in a place of isolation where, he sits you down and says, okay, everything that you are accustomed to, your whole routine, your whole, comfort zone, if you will, I'm getting ready to just blow that up. And, so I heard you speak about, I'm a person of structure. I like things a certain way. I plan it out a certain way. Okay, God is in His timing and His perfected mindset. He will blow our stuff up to smithereens, and it'll shock us, and we'll feel some kind of way about it. But at the same time, as you also mentioned, there's a calm, there's a peace, there's a joy that sort of surfaces that feels different, that you can clearly tell that this is not about me, this is not about anybody else, it's about God. He's trying to show me something, He's trying to reveal something to me, He's trying to make it plain, make it simple, but allow me to look at myself both inside and outside. And as you stated, When you think about COVID and just the tragic nature of COVID, I oftentimes in having conversations about COVID, I've said one of the blessings, and people don't usually associate blessings with COVID, but one of the blessings that came out of COVID for a lot of us was that it because of that those isolation moments, it forced you to reevaluate and appreciate life. And you say, okay,
Definitely.
what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm watching every day on the news, thousands and thousands of people dying from this crazy disease. Healthy people, checking out left and right, left and right. But I'm still here. I'm protected, and God is revealing to me some things, and it really makes me think about what's important, what matters, and I feel like he had that moment with you. I know he had that moment with me, and you just come up with a whole new perspective. Think about all the people who started businesses during COVID, during a time where people were losing business, losing businesses that they had, or losing jobs, and they were just like, you know what? I'm getting ready to do something different. I'm getting ready to pivot. That wasn't just them automatically just shifting to that. God was moving and had identified people in certain, spaces and places, and you included. And he said, look, this is what we're getting ready to do. Now that I have your attention, now that you're, fully focused on me and not the stuff, the junk, the things that are around you, but me. He commands that me time. And when he tells us what he tells us and we're open to receive it, man, then that's when you're on your way. And like I said, just seeing the works that you've done and following you on social media and things of that nature, it's clear God is all over that. His anointing is all over that. He's all over you, and you're just scratching the surface. That's the crazy part. You are just scratching the surface, and you're already doing some big things. You keep on this track, God only knows, how much more your gifts will be expanded, and how many more lives that you will touch. So I love your story, and I totally relate to it because I've experienced that for myself, and I'm sure as Latricia begins to tell her story, we're going to probably hear and see some more evidence of that very same thing, because that's just who God is, and that's how He moves. And for our listeners, tuning in, you need to know this is not something that we heard about. This is something that we know. We can't even speak about these things from a book, from a TV show. This is the real deal. When you have that personal encounter, that personal experience with God, it's because of the relationship that you've allowed yourself to be connected to. You're not trying to do life by yourself, doing it solo, because oftentimes that's what we do. We want to control everything. And God has to remind us, no, I'm in control. I made you. You didn't make me. I made all this. So we have to be reminded of that, and navigate our way through it accordingly. So, Latricia, same question. A time you were up against an uphill battle, a challenging situation. This was a little different. I know you're good at navigating and working your way through some stuff, but this
Right.
hit different. What was that situation like for you, and kind of walk us through how you were able to navigate that journey and overcome?
I would say that time was when, um, oddly enough, when I was about to start my business, how God led me to start my business. I worked at Blue Cross and Blue Shield. I was there for almost 10 years. Matter of fact, I was probably maybe 2 weeks shy of getting my 10-year service award from there. But going going a little bit ahead, my best friend, she worked there as well. And she had probably about 2 years before I had left. She left, and I heard God telling me like, this is going to be you soon. And I was like, I just nudged it off. I was like, so, because I was like, I'm secure in my job. I'm good. I don't I'm okay, And so surely, why would I leave? Like what? And so then go back 2 years in 2016, and I had just got a new position with my new manager. And at that time, the kids were little, and so they still kind of needed, Kiana was really bad with asthma, having asthma attacks, stayed in the hospital 5 and 6 days. So I never had a problem with that before, but when I joined this new team, my manager, I explained to him what my situations was, and he was like, okay, so look, let me do a certain schedule, and everything was fine. But then all of a sudden he got fired. There was a lot of restructuring. He got fired, and then I went under somebody in Illinois, in Chicago, Illinois, and then my supervisor, temporary supervisor, was right there. Another young lady that was in my area, and so when I was trying to explain to them the schedule, because they were trying to tell me that the schedule I was working was against what the company policy was, and I was like, well, this was a schedule that my manager approved me to work, and so it just didn't work with them. And during my tenure at Blue Cross and Blue Shield, like I never, like I always, my work ethic is something that I'm very, very proud of, because I spent 8 years in the army. Like work was something that we were very structured in what we did. And so I I started getting bad reviews, and they were questioning my character, questioning my work ethic. And I was well known within the company, and so every job that I tried to apply for was like no. And I was like, I know these people. These people know how I work. And it was even lateral jobs. It was lower paying jobs. It was just me trying to get out of my department. And God was like, no. I said that you're leaving the company. And I'm like, okay, but no. But I was like, Lord, how? I said, how am I going to leave this job if this is my resource. This is my job, Lord. And he was like, and loud as clear as day, he said, so this is your resource.
Hmm.
Mm. I said, okay. It was like he said, okay. And it was then that I was like, you know what? Oh, I it pop it was like light bulb. Like, Lord, you are my source. This is the resource. Everything that I have comes from you. And so what it made me realize was that I was not just I was not getting it, because at first I was like, it's just the enemy just attacking me. And then when the Lord let me see that the enemy's not attacking you, I am just having to push you because you're not listening. So he was shutting doors left and right, shutting doors, shutting doors, shutting doors, until I was able to listen to what he was talking to me about. And so then my mom was like, Trisha, I want to start she had been telling me she wanted to start a catering business. She'd been telling me. And I was like, nah, I don't know about that, mama. And so then it was like, yeah, this is what you're gonna do. And I was like, no, 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 I'm not starting no catering business. And when I tell you, when I agreed I was like, Lord, what? Somebody asked me, said, and I said, you know what? Okay, Lord, I'm gonna trust you. Okay, God. And then so I turned in 2 week notice. I didn't even want to do that because I was so mad at the manager girl, because I was like, she put me through all of this. And my friend told me, said, no, Trisha, you need to do things right and in order. Put your 2 weeks in. And because just in case something happens and you have to come back here, you're in good standing. I said, girl, I ain't never coming back here. So mad about it. And so, but my friend, now this is a lady that I worked with, who did not believe in God. She knew that I believed in God. She respected my Christianity. And she said, Trisha, what are you going to name your business? And I said, well, I don't really know yet. I haven't thought that far. She said, well, being that you love God so much and that you are very spiritual, when you want to name it something that along those lines. And I was like, yeah. And just thinking about it, anointed hearts and hands came to mind. Anointed hearts because we have a heart for people. Hands because mama can cook. But it came about that way, and I was like, oh. And so when I agreed to it, everything literally fell in place. We already had somebody that was help that God had already identified who was going to help us with the incorporation of the business. Already had somebody. We already had like three parties lined up. Like it was like, okay, so it's like he was waiting on me to step, and then my mom, she was next. He was waiting on us to step. We stepped. So then we went full, like we both went full business. Went in full business. And the first the first I would say the first challenge we had was we had got scammed right out the door, because not knowing, we had got scammed out of money, and we like got scammed out of money that we didn't have yet. And so it was already a challenge. And I'm like, Lord, you said that this is what you wanted us to do. And so we overcame that, we overcame that. And then we were like, okay, so after those first three parties, we are we've been in the business for some months, and we like, okay, so we are full time in this business. Our money comes from the business. We are a brand new company. We don't have branding yet. We have to do everything to you know get known, get seen, all those types of things. So it was a time that God just used to say, hey, to further teach me that everything comes from him. Like, that was the time that I was the most like on my face, like really, really learning who God is in in those moments. Like I provide everything. You have nothing literally without me. So I began to just pray every day, and I prayed for I was like, Lord, I just want 4 parties a month. I just want this, and just praying for the things, just praying for the business, praying for us in the business. And I kid you not, I had calendars everywhere, and literally nothing on the calendar. And then literally, like, before the month is out, 4 parties booked in the calendar. Like, I mean, and this happened every month. And I was like, oh my gosh. And in between those times, nothing's coming in. We behind on rent 3 and 4 months, and that's like $4,000 or $5,000 in rent. We behind on every bill that you can imagine. And we probably have my retirement money coming in, and my mom was started to get social security from my dad, which probably added up to about $2,000 a month, and we still had all bills and everything to pay. And when I tell you, during that time, so during that span of everything is due, literally, we didn't get kicked out the house. Nothing got turned off. like everybody was fed. Like, no calls was taken. It was, I mean, really, God just really showed up to show me, like, hey, I got you. You need to trust me. I should not have to whoop you like this, basically, to make you be obedient to me. Like, I got you. I need you to be obedient on the first reaction. And so during that time, that was the hardest time. But we like overcame that time, and we started to get a name. We started to um do great things, and then COVID hit. Like, we were doing so good, and then COVID hit, and everything shut down. There was no parties, there were no events, there was nothing, of course, because nothing in the hospitality industry. And so we tried to do weddings that we had booked. Of course, we couldn't do those weddings, and so we had to navigate through that, like putting contracts on hold, and things of that nature. It helped us to see what we needed, how we needed to do our contracting. How can we improve on things? Then we were faced with the situation of, do we want to go to online? do we want to, switch gears and go towards what's popping now and what's trending? And my mom was like, no, I like doing weddings and I want to do weddings. And I said, okay. And so what that led us to do was that led us to reach out and get jobs because we had to, we had to work. And so she reached out and I started working for Miss Sonia, and reached out and started cooking for a little daycare, and we still doing parties when things opened up in between. And then that led me to working with the journey led me to working with where I work now. And so my mom, we both ended up working at places that we liked. And so we said, well, we'll just cater on the weekends. And so now where we are in our business is we're kind of seeing how we kind of put it on hold to kind of refocus, because I'm passionate about pastries and cooking and baking. And so we're trying to see if we want to redirect it to focus on that part or expand that part. So right now we're kind of doing some reorganization in our business. So we kind of have it on hold right now. But it's funny because all of that, I was like, I would never ever. I've been away from Blue Cross and Blue Shield for 7 years, and I recently just got an opportunity that a friend called me and was like, "Hey, Blue Cross has a position open that you'd be perfect for," and because I had been asking God, like, "Hey, I want to be increased. I want to be financially increased. I want um, just certain things that I want, and certain messages that I've been getting that God is He's about to do something different. He's about to do." And I'm just like, and then this comes up, and I'm like conflicted because I'm like, okay, this is a super increase in financials, but it's at the place that I said I was never gonna work again. So is God. I'm praying on it, but it's just a funny way in how He does things, because now I have a different mentality than I did. Where I worked at Blue Cross, I was scared to move because I was like, that's my security. It's like, now, child, God is my security. God is my source. And so, either whatever happens, He's going to work it out. Whatever happens is in His hands. I trust what He's going to do, and that's just what it is. And so, I have a different mindset going into workplaces now. So, yeah, that was the hardest thing that I had to overcome. That God had to literally put me on my face to teach me who He was.
Wow, that's again another powerful testimony, and as you stated, I mean, God will, um, he will put us in situations that kind of forces our hand. He's not making us do anything, but he is going to make us, pay attention to him, so
Mm-hmm.
that we can, because he loves us. He wants to see
Yes.
us to grow and prosper and do great things. And so, like you said, sometimes he just has to whip on us, so to speak, in such a way to get our attention and focus. And one of the things that you spoke to, which I know personally resonated with me, and I'm sure it resonates, but it's going to resonate with others who listen to the podcast episode, is when you're at that crossroads where, again, it's the struggle of leaving the comfort zone. I mean, I personally, am going through that battle right now. I haven't been on a job for, well over 20 years, and knowing when the check comes every 2 weeks and how much it is and all of that. But then at the same time, while you have this prosperous career going on where you've done some great things and made good money and all that kind of stuff, there's that calling that's tugging at you.
Mm-hmm.
But the only thing about the calling is that, I don't know all the details. I don't know how all that's going to work out, and so you struggle with that situation of, and I'm sure Lontage, you, that same thing. It's like, I struggle with going from what I know and what I'm guaranteed to have versus now I'm venturing off into this thing, which I'm loving it. I desire to do it, but how do I know how long it's going to take for somebody to book me, for that
Mm-hmm.
next party, or book me for that next speaking engagement, or book me
Yes.
for, well, how do I know? And that's the thing about God, is he's like, you know, I understand what you're going through and what you're thinking, but because I'm God and because I call on you to trust me, I'm not going to give you all the details. I'm going to give you just what you need to know. And from there, you're going to have to make a decision. Are you going to trust me and follow me, or are you not? Because going back and forth with me about this is not going to get me to wear down and suddenly, okay, uncle, I'll tell you all the details. No, I'm not telling you. It's purposeful because, and I think a lot of times what that has to do with, and I heard a pastor, I can't remember which one who said this, spoke on that very topic. Is like, if God were to tell you the journey that you were going to have to go through to get to your vision, your ultimate destination, many of us wouldn't do it. So it's intentional why he doesn't tell us, because while there may be this big vision for us where we can do great and wonderful things, there's a process that you're going to have to go through, and some of that is going to be a little bumpy. It's going to be a little rocky along the way. And so if I told you all of that, you'd be ready to give up before you even started.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is what you need to understand, and this is something that I pray about every day, more so lately than ever, is just that all I need to know is that I'm hearing from him.
Yes.
If I know that I'm hearing from him, then my prayer is that I just go, that
Yes.
I just do it, that I don't worry about all the particulars and the details, because I don't have to know that. If I know that he's in charge, if I know that he's created this assignment, this mission, if you will, that I'm on, then he's never going to send us out on an assignment that's going to fail.
Right.
So if we already know that the game is fixed, that the victory is going to be there, then what are we scared about? What are we worried about? And again, our human condition is the answer to that, but we have to think bigger than that. We have to understand that God is not like us. He is divine, and we have to lean into that. And the more and more we build that relationship with him and understand that, the more open we are to just, take a risk. And he's not asking us to be reckless. He's not saying, be silly about it. He would not lead us down this path if he didn't already have it laid out.
Right.
So if he's telling us to go, then the timing is right now, not when you make a certain amount of money before you leave, not when you get this list of number of clients or booked parties or whatever, because that's what we want to do. We want to see show me the proof,
Right.
and he's
Right.
like, I am the proof that, that's all the proof you need is me. God is proof. So
Yep.
if you're needing something else, if you're waiting for me to pull out numbers and stats and reports, well, don't hold your breath waiting on that, because I'm not doing that. You either trust me or you're not. I love, how you walk through that, and I'm thankful for you that, that you took that leap of faith, for both of you, that you took that leap of faith and you trusted God. And, we're all a work in progress in that regard, but we have to kind of keep fighting that good fight, keep persevering, keep moving forward. Don't worry about the distractions that are around us. Don't worry about the naysayers.
Right.
Just understand who we belong to, who we're connected with. That's what gets us through. That's what gives us our peace and our joy and our calm during those trying moments, because that's the thing about storms. It's not a matter of if, but when,
Yes.
but the difference is there are those who go through these storms by themselves. And then there are those who go through these storms with him. Because he can see what we can't see. He can hear what we can't hear. You talked about those closed doors. I've been there, done that, and I'm at the point now in my walk to where I don't even react to that like I used to, back then, a little bit farther back, I'm in my feelings, I'm feeling,
Right.
I'm angry. They trying to, they just trying to dog me out. I know I'm qualified. I know I'm the best candidate for this. And everything that I'm saying and that you're saying, you're absolutely correct. You were probably the best for it. You were probably the choice that should have been made. But God is saying, you know what? I love you so much that I'm not going to only close doors that I know will be of harm to you if you walk through them. I'm going to close doors that I know that if I let you walk through it, you'd be settling. And I don't
Right.
want you to settle. I want
Right.
you to be great. Yeah, that was a good opportunity, but I got a great opportunity for you.
Yeah.
So which one you want? You want the good one or you want the great one?
Right.
Matter of fact, it's not great. It's awesome. Which one you want? So I tell people that all the time. Like, I celebrate the no's more than I do the yeses. You just saved me from something. I just recently, just even in the last 48 hours, I had a no come my way on something that there was no reason whatsoever on God's green earth that I should have been told no to this opportunity. But then I was like, you know what? Thank you for the no.
Yes.
And I'm already processing. He's already revealing to me how to flip the no and make
Yes.
it better than what it was originally introduced to me as. So I'm good, and that's all about our spiritual growth and understanding these things. Again, we're all a work in progress, but just knowing how God moves and how He operates is just amazing. And the more and more we understand that, the more life gets a little bit easier for us to process, to where we get to a point where we just don't trip on stuff no more. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, this adversity is before me. Let me have my moment. Let me have my cry. Let me have my scream. Let me have my yell. Let me pound on the table for a minute. But I'm not going to stay stuck there. I'm
Right.
not going to stay stuck. I'm going to keep it moving, because now I've calmed down. I've taken a few breaths. Okay, God, tell me where we going with this. And He tells
Mm-hmm.
you. And then now I'm faced with the decision: am I going to follow it, or am I going to still, try to do it my way? And
Yeah.
so that's the part of the journey that we have to understand. And I hope that our listeners will understand the value of following that order that God sets. That's the ultimate order right there. That's the ultimate structure is Him. So good stuff, ladies. Good stuff.
A
So
lot of times,
I'm sorry. Go
Joseph,
ahead.
a lot of times, God wants to see our reaction to the no. Because a lot of times it's in the reaction. Because if we do react like, oh my gosh, what, and we don't, and we say we trust you, but then we have that, oh my gosh, in my feelings, then it's like, okay, hmm, you know. So a lot of times it's in the reaction to that we have for things. If we're going to trust Him, we need to be mindful of those reactions and say, okay, God, that was a no there, but I know that if that opportunity was big and it was a no, ooh, what you got for me now? I know
Mm-hmm.
it's about to be, ooh. So a lot of
Absolutely.
times it's not how we react to the situations that we're in. And so that's another thing that I kind of learned.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, there's those who react and then those who respond.
Yes.
Am I going to be a reactor? Or am I going to be a responder?
Hmm.
Okay. So that's what it's all about. And the more we understand that, the better we will be in the
Right.
various pathways and journeys that God leads us on. So, Lantaj, I'm curious to know from you, if you would share with us a little bit, when you do find yourself facing adversity, again, whether it's something big and major, or even if it's just something small and minor, um, interested to know, what is the process that you like to go through. Today adversity is knocked on the door, it's barged its way in. Here you got to deal with this, whatever this is. What do you like to do that kind of helps you process and make your way through dealing with whatever that challenge is?
I think for me is having a growth mindset, and that comes with maturity. It's not a instant thing. But as you said, I used to be very reactionary. Not processing things the right way. Woe is me. A bit spoiled and entitled. You know, but as life takes you different things, and you begin to see that it's not about you, and that God is allowing some of those no's and some of those disappointments and some of those things that doesn't feel good to us to work out for us, you become more, as you said, just chilled about certain things.
Hmm.
A lot of things that's happening right now in my life that if it would have happened 3 months ago, I would have a totally different reaction. But as the sister said, God is our source. He's our source. Everything else is just a byproduct of truly trusting Him. So whether
Hmm.
that's something monetarily or just getting, a speaking engagement, or just getting favor on anything, whatever His no is, He has something bigger. And it comes with going through those past things, and you realize, like, what is me reacting like this going to get from it? And then also with what I'm doing with Torch, which is my signature program for my business, tackle opposition with resilience, character, and heart. This platform that I have particularly geared towards helping young people and business owners persevere through different obstacles. I have to live it, because if not, it's just a bunch of letters and a logo.
Hmm.
So I
Yep.
have to live these things. So I'm constantly torching through different situations. So when I stand in front of people, whether it's teenagers, whether it's the women that I'm going to be standing in front of next month in Houston with the Women with Purpose tour, I don't want to stand there just giving empty words.
Right.
And I know that God sometimes validates me before I go in front of these, individuals, because it's like He'll just give me my whole script of what to say, because either I'm going through it or I have just come out of it. you know.
Mm-hmm.
But the main thing is, again, just processing it and not being so reactionary and just having this woe is me and keeping that growth mindset, you know. Even on my
Hmm.
job this year, when something happens, they already know what I'm gonna say. GM, growth mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Same things would have had me ready to, oh, I'm done with this, you know, because 23 years in education has not come without its bumps and bruises. Even though I
Yes.
know I'm on purpose, I love working with you. You know, I come from a family of educators, but it has not been easy. But at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, I know for a time such as this, to go back to what I was saying, I'm preparing myself for the exit. But God has to still use me in a capacity that I'm not sure when it's going to end. So I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sitting around just counting my days and saying, oh, I can't wait to leave. I've been very strategic in how I pray to him on how I hope that it ends. I don't want to let it end bitter. I don't want it to end with me being sick and overwhelmed and like a lot of people that have left this profession that was once a noble profession.
Mm-hmm.
I want to look back and say I went out on top and I know that I've impacted lives and they've impacted me, you know. But again, it's all about torching through that and processing it in a way that lets other people know that, hey, God got you
Mm-hmm.
because I'm living it, you
Yeah.
know, and that's not trying to be deep. That's even for people that's not even saved.
Good.
So
Mm-hmm.
that they know, grow mindset. You
Yeah.
know, there's so many different ways to look at situations, but it all is all about your mindset and your focus. Hence the name of my business, New Focus. Constantly getting a new focus on things. So
Mm-hmm.
that's
Hmm.
how I handle adversity. That's how I handle those hard times. That's how I bounce back several times throughout a day when things don't go my way or go the way I think they should go.
I love that. I love that. I love the new focus, the torch, the the growth mindset. Because we have to unlearn those old ways and habits of thinking and processing things, and it has to be a creative, outside the box type thinking. And I love that approach that you said. Hey, it's about the growth mindset. Because at the end of the day, nothing can, even the things that we quote unquote call the bad or the challenging times, those things can't come your way unless God gives it permission to do so. And so if you know that he's allowing it to go through, that's a growth moment. He's letting it go through because there's something you're supposed to glean from that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
again, on the surface, it may seem, it may not be the right timing for it. It may be, uncomfortable. It may be inconvenient, but there is something. I oftentimes refer to that in my praying time as, as this is my spiritual workout. This is the spiritual weight room that God puts you in, when he lets those things come through. It's not to hurt you. It's not to destroy you or to make you feel like you're worthless or anything like that. No, we got to stretch those spiritual muscles. We got to tighten up that spiritual core. We got to get you right and fit to where, as I referred to in my book, about what it means to evolve with God. There needs to be a way about you that when you enter into a room, or Lontage, as you talked about, when you're getting ready to go on stage to do that speaking, no matter who's in front of, you want to be involving with God to where it's like a spiritual swag that's
Mm-hmm.
that's about you, that the words are going to come out right, and there's the confidence. Like I said, it's not empty words. You're not just giving a speech to say something that just sounds good. People can see it, they can feel it in the words that are coming out your mouth. Same way with you, Latricia. They can feel the anointing that in the meals that you prepare, between you and your mom. They can feel that your heart went into this. You didn't just slap something together and put
Right.
it out there and say eat up. People feel like, okay, somebody spent some time with this.
Mm-hmm.
Like they used to say back in the day, somebody put their foot in this. They did some stuff. This that kind of cooking where they ain't even measuring. They just a little bit of that, a little bit, and it's just the right amount.
Yep.
It's you can tell the difference when somebody put time and effort into it, and so that's where that comes from. So great stuff. That's great stuff, Lantaj. What you shared. Same question for you, Latricia. Going through some adversity moment situations before you. How do you like to? What works for you to process through such times?
Um, so one of the things that so two things. I always remember that I heard it a long time ago, long, long, long time ago, that the greater the adversity, the greater the reward. And so when I'm going through things, I know that if it's got to be this big, if what I'm going through is this big, God must have something way bigger for me because I'm having to deal with all of this. And then I also lean on like when things get super heavy, I lean on Psalms 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted in the nations. I will be exalted in the among the nations and in the earth. And like that just says like you lay low because whatever is about to happen, I will. That I will is not a like a, like, no, that's an I will be exalted. I in the nations and in the earth. So whatever I'm gonna have for you is going to, no matter who is against it, no matter who is speaking on you or doing whatever, what I want to come to fruition for you will come to fruition with you because I will. And so that right there helps me get through a lot of adversity. And then the other thing is writing. Um Writing poetry. Lantage said, um a lot of times I have to go through the things that I write about. Like it's not, I can't just get on stage and spit poetry and not, God not deal with me on it. It has to be personal first. And because it's personal first, I can speak to it from the experience that I need so that it can impact somebody. And doing the poetry, I asked God and I realized and I recognize that the words that I'm speaking, they are not from me. They are not mine because I can go and read them same poems right after I write them and be so amazing. Like, oh my gosh, like, who did that? Like, what? you know? And I know that it ministers to me, that God is ministering to me about my situation that He's carrying me through because when I read it back, I'm impacted.
Hmm.
And so because I'm impacted, it's personal. And when I get up before people, it's that's me working out the adversity. And I always get nervous when I do spoken word. I've been doing spoken word since 2011 because somebody told me, said, Trisha, those words are not yours. God didn't give you them words to for you. He gave you those words so that you can give it to somebody else because somebody else is going through something that they don't have no clue on how to express themselves about. And so the words that you have, you need to put those out so that somebody knows that the person that is assigned to that poem or those words or to you, they know that, okay, God is hearing me. God is hearing me because He sent it through this way. And so with doing that and really leaning in and knowing that He is God, like that, it just helps me. I get so nervous because people don't understand, like, you've been doing it for so long, Trisha, and what people don't understand is that I don't get nervous to go before people and spit. I get nervous because it's a matter of a life and death situation in my mind, because the words that I am speaking can prevent somebody from doing whatever it is that they thought about they were what they were doing. And at the same time, the words that I'm speaking can bring somebody a new life in Christ. So I get nervous because I want God to stand before me and not me. And so when I'm going through, the best thing to do is put the pen to the paper. And a lot of times he just sent it, he just he just sent it. And so when I'm dealing with things, and he's dealing on, I mean, all kinds, you've heard some of my poetry before, Joe, and it's all of those are like searching for intimacy. God was telling me at that time, I need you to be looking for me. I need to be the person that you worried about a husband, you need to be worried about me. In that time, I'm the person that's supposed to be filling you up. These hills, I wrote that at a time that I was in the middle of adversity. I was going through some type of financial crisis, and I was just like, I was like sitting there looking at my shoes, and I said, "Man, God is in everything." And came out these heels, and these heels is like a double entendre kind of thing. It's these heels and these heels. So I was talking about how I was afraid to wear heels until I was 30 because I'm clumsy. I can't walk in those shoes, and so and then I was looking down at the shoes I have on, like 4 inch stilettos, 4 inch heels, and I'm like, how is this even possible? And so it's possible because, girl, you can do anything. God orders your steps. What do you mean? Because you clumsy. So when heels come, or when new heels come, I get excited. If it's new heels on shoes or new heels, there's problems. They come banging on my door. I know where my help come from. I know who has got my back. I know that all I need to do is be still, because I know the God I serve, and I know He will be exalted. So that's kind of how I deal with it, the adversity that's coming my way. I know, and I write. And when I write, I speak. And when I speak, I'm better because I know that God is actually doing something with somebody. I'm being purposeful. I'm being intentional with what He gave me. And so that's kind of how I deal with things. I write, I speak, and I just remember that God will. He will.
Love that. Love that. And I love the fact that you clarified what it means about the nerves part. And I think we all can relate to that. That nervousness that you get is not I'm scared to be in front. My nerves is more about I understand the importance of the assignment. That is, and I want to give my best in that assignment. I want it to speak the way it needs to speak. I want it to feel the way it needs to feel. That's what makes it nervous, because I don't want to mess this up, because I understand how game changing it could be for somebody if I do this right. You know, when Lontage, when you get up and you speak before young people, you get that thing right. There's a young girl or a young boy who has a totally different change in outlook on life. Suddenly they feel like they are capable of being successful and doing great and wonderful things. Whereas before that session that you spoke before them, they were feeling defeated. They were feeling like their life had, no way to go. That, it was a dead end path. When you, like you said, Latricia, when you talked about, your spoken word, and I have had an opportunity to hear you a few times, and it's evident that in your spoken word that you're speaking from a place of connection. You are the words. Those words are coming from you, but it's not just you getting a chance to vent through your poetry. You're actually getting to minister and reach somebody else who's going through the same thing. So it's like a dual ministry, and that's what's beautiful when you know that you're operating in your calling, when you're doing a work that is of God, because it's not just the people that perhaps you're speaking to or that you're serving that get blessed. You get blessed. I tell people all the time, and I'm gonna tell you all the same thing. Ever since, in the short time that I've been doing the podcast, every episode I walk away blessed by my guest. You say something, you reveal something that convicts me, that's like, oh, I needed to hear that. It wasn't just I'm putting on this show and it's for the listeners out there and they're the only ones getting. I'm getting fed too, so it's a win-win situation, So, but again, that happens because of the dynamic that God presents for us when we're operating within that calling, and we're doing it from the right place. Again, we're just not just throwing something out there. We understand the assignment and the significance and the importance of it, and we're giving our best foot forward and allowing Him to take care of the rest. He's going to speak through us. People will see and hear the God in you. You're serving as the vessel, but they're going to see and receive and hear Him and what He represents. So that's powerful stuff. So Lontage, if you had a chance to speak to the younger Lontage, the one, like you said, that stuff go wrong, you about ready to pop off and feel some kind of way, pity party, entitlement, all that good stuff.
Curse.
Cuss somebody out, go up some side of somebody's head, whatever that is. If you had an opportunity to speak to that younger version of you, or somebody that's kind of like in that space right now, and they're trying to figure it out, they want to do something different. They know that what they're doing is not the way, but they don't know where to go, how to redirect. What would be your words of encouragement and wisdom to share with the younger version of you or somebody like you that you think would be of help to them to rethink how they're doing things?
Three things. The first thing is get to know and love yourself to a level that no matter what comes your way, no one else can define you. Anybody leaving, anybody taking anything from you, it won't affect you. And that comes from having a strong sense of who you are. The second thing is just trust the process because it is a process. You know, they have this saying now, life be lifing. Things are going to
Mm-hmm.
happen in life that are out of our control, and you just have to trust the process. And from a spiritual standpoint, as I mentioned earlier, we do know that all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and who are the called to his purpose. But for people that are not in Christ, this could be a way to draw you to something other than yourself. Because a lot of time we're trusting our own strength, which we know can be very fickle. And when that process doesn't work, again, it takes you out of who you thought you were, and now you're feeling bad about yourself. So trust the process. And then the third thing is just to take a deep breath and enjoy life. I go back
Love
to
it.
it again. COVID was a big changer for me. I never thought, and at that time I was 44, that I would see something like that in my lifetime. Literally, day after day, people losing their life. In our home state of Louisiana, we had some of the highest numbers running out of beds. People that I knew personally passed away, was sick. It literally was scary, but at the same time, it just made me just be like, I wasn't living before. All the trips and all the different things I thought I was doing, calendar full. This was before the business. That was just existing. I got a whole new sense of what it meant to live. And that's why now any trip I can take, and I traveled before, but I enjoy it different. I don't take for granted that I get to do these things because there's so many people that unfortunately didn't get a chance to see the things and experience the things that I'm experiencing now in 2023 because their life ended 2 or 3 years ago because of this pandemic. So, just to cherish life, it's worth living, but to cherish it and live it to the fullest, you know. But yeah, trust the process and just know who you are. Get a strong sense of who you are, and that's for anyone, any age. But definitely, that's something I instill in young people through my Torch Team program because, of course, they have so many different things trying to tell them who they are: social media, their peers, their own insecurities. You have to dig deep, and it does cause you to be isolated sometimes from everything else around you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Those are beautiful words of wisdom. And anybody listening, again, regardless of your age, gender, or otherwise, please take heed. That is a powerful message, and definitely things that you can apply right now in your life to just begin to change the trajectory of it all in a positive and prosperous situation, so that the quality is better, that you're living in true purpose. Same way with you. Same question for you, I should say, Latricia. Speak to that younger version of you, quiet, timid, didn't, had a voice, but nobody was hearing it, not confident in yourself. There's a lot of young ladies out there and young men out there who are like that right now.
Hmm.
And they're needing to hear that revelation that you ultimately were able to hear. What would be those words of wisdom that you would share with the younger Latricia, or others who are like what she was back then, so that they can find their voice, find their purpose, and be able to navigate the challenges of life?
I would say definitely you have a voice. Your voice is important. Your voice is needed. Um, I would definitely say you are enough right where you are. Um, you don't have to be something that you're not. Um, you don't have to not stand up for you because you're afraid that everybody else um, are not going to get you or like you, or you don't have to people please. um it's okay that you don't agree. No is valid. No is a valid response. I would say don't wait until get it now. Don't wait until you're eons years old to figure out all of these things. You're valid right now. You're valuable. Recognize your value. That's one thing that's really big to me now, is my time and my value. I know how valuable I am. I know how I know what I'm worth. I know who I am. Now, it took me till 40 to get that. I'm only 40, I'm only 44. So I've been living in that for 4 years, and I've been living in that freedom for 4 years, but I was locked up in that box from a young age until that time. So I would say get it now. Realize it now. Um I would say just don't try to conform to everything. We don't fit everything. We're not gonna fit in every single little box or little thing that somebody tries to put you in. You fit wherever you fit, and don't try to conform. Um, stand on stand on what you truly believe. Stand on God, because He knows. I've been saved since I was 15 years old,
Mhm.
and still going through rigmarole, still trying to learn and people please. You can't please man. Man is always going to change their mind. God doesn't change. God stays. God, He remains the same then and now. And as a teenager, I wanted to, live my life, because I didn't, I want to live my life first, then I go to God. No, go to God first, because then you will live your life, right? Um, so I would just say, like, you're valid. You're valid. Don't wait to be validated. You're valid right in your mess. You're valid in your, and I tell the youth upstairs now, God can use you right where you are. Right now, you don't even know where you are, who you are, but you are enough right now. You're good enough right now. You're equipped right now. He can use your mess to bless somebody else right now. And
Hmm.
so that's what I would tell me. Girl, you're valid. Girl, your no is okay. You have a voice, and your voice is enough.
There you go. I love that. I love that, and I love the statement that you said that sticks out to me. Is like, I'm valid, so I don't have to be validated.
Hmm.
I'm already what you trying to, give me your stamp of approval on. I already have that, So I don't need your validation because I am valid. I'm already there. I just need to know it for
Right.
myself, so that I can begin to be used in a mighty way, by God to be blessed and to be a blessing to
Mhm.
others in my service as He directs our paths to do so. So, good stuff, good stuff. So before I let you two ladies go, I do want to take an opportunity to celebrate you, to love on you, to affirm you, all that good stuff. So, Lantage, if you would, tell us what you got going on right now. Anything special, exciting, anything that's happened recently that we can celebrate and acknowledge and put out there that people need to know about that you're working on, or gotten the plans ahead to again make your stamp and mark on this world, and and offer up some great things. Please share that with us.
Okay. Well, one of the things that just recently happened this past weekend, I had an opportunity to do my first out of state engagement. So, myself and my team, we went to Memphis, Tennessee to support a local nonprofit from here in Dallas, but they have family in Memphis, the Jacob Witt organization, which brings awareness to childhood cancer. So I had an opportunity to do that, and it was just amazing. Did some networking there in Memphis as well, looking to bring my Torch Team program to that city, which is needed, everywhere in the country. And then also I do business development. So I will be on the second part of the Women with Purpose tour, which is under Sabrina Ford. She's a local event planner and entrepreneur here in the Dallas Fort Worth area. And that's going to be September 17th in Houston, Texas, with some other amazing women that's just going to be inspiring, not just business owners, but women to walk in your purpose. And that's what it's all about. Like I said, my journey as a woman at almost 47 has not been easy, but I know I've been on purpose since I became saved at 27. So the past 20 years, I've been on purpose, had some bumps and bruises, but definitely want to encourage other women with that event coming up. And just also just bringing my Torch Team program to as many organizations and school districts and wherever else I can. And I also be at the Urban Fashion Show in Lancaster this Saturday. Jasmine Evans, another networking individual from the area, does some amazing things. She's putting together a really great fashion show, art, music, and that's going to be in Lancaster, Texas. I'll be there as a vendor selling my torch merch and also just putting it out there that there are positive teams and all the funds are going to go to support those programs and also the scholarship that I have.
That is awesome, awesome work. Blessings to you
Thank you.
individually and for the works that you're doing. I'm just excited for you, and I know that God is going to bring forth some great things from you, and that the people who are going to be blessed, young and old, is just going to be amazing and beyond anything that anybody could have imagined. So you definitely keep up the good work with that, and we'll certainly be continuing to keep you in our prayers
Thank you.
for much success and triumphs and victories. And of course, you will always have an open path to come back on the show and talk more about things that you're doing and other topics and such, because your journey has been powerful and it's been inspiring. And I'm glad that you were here to share that. Real quick, if somebody is interested in finding out how to connect with you, whether it's to serve or whether it's to contribute or anything of the like, what is the best way to do that?
Well, they can reach out to me via my website, www.newfocusfyc.com, or on Facebook, New Focus Family and Youth Consultant, or they can email me, info@newfocusfyc at info@newfocusfyc.com. But if
All
you go
right.
on Facebook, you'll see me on there. Yeah, New Focus Family Youth Consultant. Just Google my name, Latage Woods, Lontage Woods, and you will be able to reach out and I will get back with you on whatever it is that we can assist you with.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Same question for you, Latricia. What you got going on right now? Tell us anything we can celebrate, love on you on, affirm you on. What's happening? What you got in the works right now?
Right now, like I said, I'm refocusing my business to see, to add the pastry component, and I want it to be an online kind of pastry thing. That I want to do. Also, looking forward to getting back into spoken word, getting back out there. Kind of slowed up since COVID. Um, hit, but looking forward to reconnecting and getting back into spoken word. And also, the Lord has been leading me to a book for a long time, and a book of poetry, but I just don't want it to be a regular book of poetry. Has been on my heart to create a book of poetry, kind of like a devotional type of thing, because every time I read a poem, depending on what season I'm in, it hits different. And so I wanted to be able to do that and um, have that, So I've been kind of okay, Lord. Just a little bit nervous about it because, like I said, the poetry is the little things that he's dealing with me on. And so I was like, but I know that they have, and a lot of times people's like, I need to be able to have my hands on this. So that's one of the things that I'm working towards. And also, another thing that I've been kind of looking into is um, speaking, going out and public speaking with people, like motivational or something. I don't really know just yet. I'm just kind of looking into it because um, I know that I have a different perspective, and I know that God has gifted me in that way. And so that's one of the things that I'm kind of looking into. And so, yeah.
All right, that's good stuff. Well, first and foremost, we getting ready to speak this book into existence.
Right.
Like I said, I've heard your poetry, and I know you got a ton of more of it that I haven't had the pleasure of hearing. So we getting ready to just go ahead and speak that into existence. And you know, if there's any assistance you need in regards to how to get that process started, you know how to connect with me on that.
Hmm.
Again, blessings over you and your works that you're doing. Again, I'm just looking for God's favor on you, and how He's going to manifest everything that you currently have and what you're thinking about doing with the pastry, adding on that to your catering services and all of that good stuff. So I'm excited for you. I'm looking forward to seeing how all of this is going to play itself out, and I know God's going to show out. He's going to show up and show out in a major and mighty way. So I'm not even worried about that. I'm ready to see it. I'm ready for it to happen. So again, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. And Latricia, if anybody wants to connect with you, whether for your catering services or the like, what is the best way for them to do so?
They can actually connect with me on Facebook, or Facebook Anointed Hearts and Hands Catering, or Instagram for Anointed HHC. For poetry or spoken word, they can. It's God's Poet, GODSPOET, on Instagram, or they can email me at Latricia Murray 10 at gmail.com.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, again, thank you, ladies, for being a part of this. I know I have had a wonderful time with the both of you, hearing your
Right.
journeys and your stories. It's been very inspiring and encouraging for me, and I know anybody who's having the opportunity to listen to the podcast is going to be blessed as well. So I appreciate your transparency and just your generosity and just pouring into the lives of others, because here at the Blessings in the Street podcast, this is what it's all about. We're about uplifting, encouraging, inspiring, letting people know that no matter what they're up against, no matter the challenges or obstacles, that it doesn't have to be the end of the story. We all going to go through some stuff, but what's important is that you don't get stuck in that moment.
Right.
That you process it and you work your way through it, and of course, most importantly, that you don't feel like you have to do it by yourself. Um,
Yes.
God is here; He's always present, and He wants us to lean into Him and to trust Him to guide and direct us through our storms and our valley experiences of life. So we have to get better and better at building that relationship and that bond, so that we can follow His lead and not waste unnecessary time trying to fight it. Because He's never going to lead us down a path of destruction or dismay. He loves us, and He wants nothing but the best for us. And so once we understand and receive that, the sky's the limit as to what He can do in our lives. So for our listeners, if you've enjoyed what the content has been like for today, I again encourage you to subscribe, to share, to like, to comment, because again, this story isn't just for you. This could be something that could be a blessing to somebody else. So please don't keep it to yourself. We're not keeping it to ourselves, and we encourage you not to keep it to yourself. Spread the word. Let everybody know. Because here at the Blessings in the Streets podcast, this is the place where your story is your glory, where your relationships are relevant, and where your journey is your joy. I am your host, Joseph B. Roberts, and until next time, God bless. Stay strong. Keep fighting the good fight. Be persistent. Be intentional in the works that you do. And most importantly, lean on God and watch Him just work wonders in your life, and just make your dreams, your wildest dreams, come true. He is just that special, and He loves us just that much. Take care of yourselves.